Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me.
Yeah.
And guess what?
We're together again.
And you need to watch the video because Melissa looks like Bella Swan up top, Kerry Washington. What's her character?
Olivia Pope.
Olivia Pope on the bottom. We've got some
You
gorgeous
can't see.
trousers.
I'm going to sit like this the whole episode. Can't tell.
Can't tell me shit. You can't. They can't see any of it.
You're making stories up. I have no clue what you're talking
Are you
about.
calling me a liar?
I didn't say that.
A liar
I say
who
you're
lies?
making stuff up.
Wow. We're starting this episode with the biggest fight we've ever had. Anyways, we're back. We're so happy to be back in person with each other. Hi.
I'm staring at you and your beautiful blue eyes. They look a little gray today, though.
Thanks.
It's not like I'm just saying.
I know. I don't know
Sometimes they're
what the
like
fucking logic is.
Sometimes they're bright blue.
I know. Like, why is it like? Are they like a mood ring? Like, I've been thinking about that. Like, I'll watch some videos of mine. I'm like, how the fuck are your eyes so blue? And then other times I'm like, what color? They're gray. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm wearing blue.
I know. When you would think it make it pop.
I know.
Interesting.
Sometimes this does. Like, I don't know.
They looked bluer earlier today. Maybe it's tiredness. I don't think that's
it's a
right.
mood ring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also wanted to say it's because I need to wash my hair. That was my gut instinct, but I don't know how that would
I'm
be
going to
related.
strongly disagree.
Well, that's your prerogative, and my prerogative is
To live in delusion.
literally that's my favorite thing to do.
Favorite state of mind.
Honestly, yeah. So, welcome back to the podcast. We're going to give you some wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice, and you might be wondering, how are you qualified to give such advice? One bitch with gray eyes, the other in a flannel. And I'm saying exactly that. Who doesn't want advice from us?
I bought this shirt specifically for a 90s party.
No, that's the funniest part of this. And like, I just want to
'Cause
know
you know
why
I-
I'm roasting. I assumed this wasn't yours. Or you had bought it for like a hoedown rap party or anything themed.
Yeah.
I don't even know in any iteration of you. It's definitely from,
Express.
I was going to say, it feels like it's from Target. It being
I've
from
never bought
Express
clothes from Target.
is a little more on brand for you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I already told you we're going to give you advice. But if you want to watch this and you want to watch us give advice and you want to watch the flannel in question, and you should join our Patreon. It's $1 a month. You can watch the video version. We also have our other podcast on Thursday. But am I wrong? And you can watch that as well. You pay a little extra more. And then a little more. You can come to live streams. And hey, none of it's more than $7.
The live streams are a good time.
They're a great time. Melissa has blacked out in the last one when she was like, you should talk about this. And I'm like, bitch, we literally talked about it in the last stream.
I have no recollection of it. None. And I would say I would go back and find it to see what I was doing. But those things last like 2 and 3 hours. So no.
Yeah, the last one that we recorded, I slowly devolved or evolved, depending on your preference, into a character from The Sound of Music. Specifically, I looked like a nun.
Yes.
I was wearing a scarf, and it just started. It migrated to onto my head to be nice and warm for the ears, and it was definitely a look and showed me that I don't think that a nun aesthetically nor religiously makes a lot of sense for my life.
I thought it worked for you. I really did.
That's nice. My dad would kill me.
Yes, you probably would drudge up some old trauma for him.
I would have to go and like avenge. I would have to be an undercover nun.
Nundercover.
Nun. That's like really catchy. Nundercover. What are you doing? Nunder business.
So, if people want to call in for this show, what do they do, Megan?
Well, you can call in and leave a voicemail at 310-694-0976, or if you're an international listener or viewer. Sorry.
Offensive as fuck.
I am about to start watching the new season of Love Island, and I will get better.
Right now, iceberg right ahead.
And never in my life have I heard of anyone using the Titanic as a fucking reference for a British accent. That was like, first of all, you sounded like Mary Poppins. Like, that was very much like, all right, my love, chimney sweep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That was, it took me, I didn't know for years he was trying to be British. I was like,
I did a good impression of him.
No, you did a fantastic. Dick Van Dyke, right?
No clue.
Dick Van Dyke did what was the chimney sweep in.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say Sound of Music? Mary Poppins. And that is exactly how the guy who yells iceberg in the Titanic sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you sounded like. So great job. I knew exactly what you were saying, but I've never heard anybody use that as like a British accent reference. So if you're an international listener, all of that being said, you can send us a voice memo at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. For both the voicemail and the voice memo, you have to keep it under 3 minutes. To do that, we recommend that you write it all down, everything that you want to say, include ages. It's all anonymous, so don't include your name. And let us know the story, what's going on, if there's other people involved, what their ages are, if it's about a relationship, how long you've been together, like all of the very important details that will factor into the advice that we give you and how we understand your situation. You also have to be 18 or over, have your parents' permission. If you would like to include pronouns, please feel free to do so. And, I said write it down and then time yourself and practice. And then when you call or record the voice memo, just read it. Like, this is your performance of a lifetime.
A moment like this.
Some people
This was a
have
solo.
lifetime. I'm Justin.
No.
From Justin to Kelly.
She's fantastic.
I love her.
Let's get her on the podcast.
Kelly. Drew Barrymore too.
Yeah.
I want a crossover. I know that they don't do daytime
have
crossover
before.
episodes.
Oprah and Ellen used to go on each other's shows.
That's true, but I kind of want it like, the crossover of New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I want it with Drew Barrymore, Kelly Clarkson, and Jennifer Hudson.
It'd be a great time.
Give me a round table of them.
Yeah. They should do a Hollywood Reporter
Literally.
daytime thing. They probably have one in the works. I feel like it.
But I want, no offense to the like OG daytime women, like I want the people who are celebrities who then started doing it. Like
it's a specific topic.
Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter, make that happen.
Thank you.
I know y'all listen.
I'm free for a job whenever. Okay.
What's the Hollywood Reporter going to do?
They know people. They have lots of emails. They had to coordinate all of the shoots. I would die for that address book.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's true. So should we get into the episode?
Let's do it. Roll the tapes.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm a longtime listener and first-time caller. I'm 19 years old and use she, her pronouns. This past summer, I had a suspicion that my dad was cheating on my mom. I had noticed him texting a woman and being on his phone a lot more than normal. I found her Instagram page via who he follows to figure out who she was. She lives in the same state that my dad had been traveling to for months at a time for work, and she has kids of her own as well. Within a week of me making this realization, this woman followed my TikTok page, which I found really odd. He was out of town at the time, I'm assuming with her, so I texted him a message explaining to him my suspicion and telling him to tell me the truth. He denied everything and told me that he would never cheat on my mom. Later that week, when he came home, he confronted me and told me once again that there was nothing happening. I still didn't believe him, and I let my brother know what I was thinking. I ended up logging into my dad's Instagram account and finding DMs verifying that he was, in fact, cheating on my mom with this woman. I took pictures of the messages and sent them to my brother. My brother texted my dad, letting him know that we know the truth and basically telling him to fuck off. This was all in August, right before my brother and I both left for college. It was awkward being in the house with my dad, and we had very limited conversation other than my dad telling me that he promised he would let my mom know and that he unfollowed this woman on Instagram. Since then, we have all acted like normal to protect my little sister. It is now January, and the other day I found out that this woman is still viewing my TikTok account, which freaks me out. I also found out that my dad refollowed her on Instagram. I know for a fact that he has not told my mom, and I feel like she deserves to know. So, should I tell her? Should I have another conversation with my dad? I really need some advice because I don't want my mom to be continually disrespected. Thank you guys in advance for your advice. I love your podcast so much. Thank you.
First, excellent detective skills.
Oh my gosh. This is those moments where, you flex those skills, and in the moments when you're like, sometimes I don't want to be this good, but you figure it all out and like, you're glad you did, but also like, if I wasn't so talented at this, I could have remained blissfully ignorant. So I understand that grappling with those emotions, but you had a mission and you completed it and like you got shit done. You got in and out and
got answers.
Yeah, and cut no fucking corners and like screenshots, and you're
not just screenshots. She says she took pictures.
Took pictures and then sent to your brother. Like you,
and you also, after he denied it to you, you had your backup go in and push through. Our mouths literally dropped.
No, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think you went about this in the best way, where it's like, it shouldn't come from you. It shouldn't have to come from you. It should come from him. But you know your mom better than anyone. And if he hasn't told her, he's not going to. And I think this has shown you, like, you basically gave him one last opportunity to be like, hey, you've been a fucking piece of shit. Like, this isn't my problem. This is your problem. So fix the fucking problem. And you gave him that opportunity and he didn't rise to the occasion. And so I don't think you have to talk to him again. It's like, you had your chance.
Right.
And if you were going to tell her, you would have told her and you didn't. And now I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that you and your brother should maybe discuss if it would be better coming from the both of you or one of you. It seems like, I don't know if you got your brother in maybe because he knew how to talk to your dad a certain way, or if you know how to talk to your mom a certain way. But yeah, like you said, like he's continually to disrespecting your mom, lied about it, unfollowed that woman, and then like, where is his shame? Followed her again, and she's looking at your fucking TikToks? What? Like, she knows that you exist. That means she knows that the whole family fucking exists. So I would tell her.
I would tell her too. I don't know how young your younger sister is, but if you and your brother decide that it would be best coming from both of you there, if your younger sibling is young, I would coordinate to like have a babysitter or a family friend to like kind of get them out of the house so your mom doesn't, I wouldn't tell her quickly. I would have it be like, she's got hours to process, to be emotional, and doesn't have to check into mom mode. She can stay in wife mode and be like upset. So, or if that's one of you, it'd be better just for one of you to tell her, for the other to take the sibling out and like have a fun day together. Like, and even if it's something like, thought we could have a spa day and like stay the night at a fun hotel together and like something like that. Again, I don't know how young, or if it's like they're having a sleepover at a friend's house, something like that, where you'd never turn off being like a mom. But in this situation, having your two adult children who are young adult children who've gone off to college, being able to facilitate this, and you have your own very strong feelings towards the behavior of your dad, I think that would be really helpful for your mom to kind of rest that hat for a little bit.
Right.
And to process it fully with people who, when I tell her, I would say something along the lines of like, I think he's a piece of shit for what he did. So like, if you want to leave and you're like, there's no keeping it together for the family. Like, we're here to support you. Like, whatever you need for our little sister, like, we're fucking here and like, we'll get through this. If you want to stay, okay. Like, but we're going to support you with whatever you want to do from like we're growing up now.
We know.
And
I figured this out.
Yeah. And like, we're out of the house. Like, you're spending far more, like when kids out of the house, you spend more time with your partner or you don't. And that's not like
a reflection on you at all.
No.
But also like, I would do it too when he's on one of his little trips.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives your mom more time to process. Because if he's in town, he could come home at any minute.
Yeah. I wouldn't take her out of town. I think that just kind of, because it feels exciting. And then it's like, surprise. And it's like, oh, okay.
No, it's like, Mom, I have something to talk to you about.
I think like, regardless of what your mom decides, like, you're allowed to hate your dad if she stays with him. Like, you have a relationship with him independent of her. And while the cheating has nothing to do with you, the lying about it does have something to do with you because he lied to you as well.
Yeah. And, you know, she decides to say, okay, but at least she has all the information.
Yeah. And she can stay and you're also still allowed to dislike him. Like, you can support her and dislike him as a person, and you can want better for her and hope that he treats her better while not keeping information from her that might change her choices or even just how she behaves. And maybe she's not financially at a spot where she can leave him, but now knowing this, she's going to be able to like, oh, okay, I'm going to start saving money. If she's been, I don't know if she worked or not, but like when the rug gets ripped out of underneath you, specifically as like most of the time it's happening to like women who either don't work as much as their husband, and you find out that happens when it's like, oh, I'm leaving you for the mistress. And it's like, well, if I had time to prepare for saving the money to get out of this on my own accord, I just think that like people should always know that know what choice they're making.
Yeah.
And she might have an inclination. She might know all of this too. That's fine. But I wouldn't feel personally comfortable not having confirmation that she knew it and thinking that I might know something that she doesn't know that would influence her decision making.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Also, I want to know, does this woman like make TikToks or is she just on TikTok to look at you?
I'm also like, he's like, I'll unfollow her on Instagram. I'm like, oh, are you going to stop fucking her as well? Like, what's the, why is this a whole thing? And then you're following her again. And clearly you put so much weight on the unfollowing that the refollowing is pretty crystal clear.
Yeah.
Social media, sometimes I'm like, we all need better social media literacy, but then other people, this is
people,
plain sight.
You know, tell on themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Next call.
Hey, I am 29, and 8 months ago, I ended a toxic 7-year relationship. Still in love with him, and I'm actively trying not to call him and fall back into the toxicity. I've been on dating apps and haven't had any luck. Went on a couple of dates, but there's no chemistry. And they ended up backfiring, making me miss my ex, specifically having someone to flirt with, hang out with, and obviously have sex with. So about a month ago, my trainer, I'll call him Tim, mentioned that his brother-in-law asked if I'm single. I'll call the brother Rob. Rob is 41. He's divorced with one kid, and he's super hot. So since Tim had mentioned that Rob asked about me, Rob and I have been flirting across the gym, like lingering around each other longer than we need to be. There's been some serious sexual tension built up. So about a week ago, Rob messaged me on Facebook and asked if I wanted to hook up. He invited me to get drinks with him, and while we were getting drinks and just hanging out, he said, you know, he wasn't interested in a relationship with anyone, but he thinks that I'm super hot, and I think he's super hot, so he asked if I'd be interested in, like, just hooking up. So we did hook up that night, and both agreed immediately that we wanted to keep doing it, but keep Tim out of the loop just for the sake of the sexual tension that it creates while we're working out. By the way, the plan is working. It's super fun to like make eye contact across the gym, knowing that we're meeting up in an hour and nobody knows. It's a small gym, so everybody knows everybody, and we've all been going there for the same amount of time. So I'm also assuming that Tim will find out eventually, which is not a big deal at all. He has golden retriever energy, and when they get that it was funny and impressive that we kept it a secret. So my question is, I've never done friends with benefits before, so I don't know what's normal. Like, do we text during the day? We've been making plans to hang out at night, but like, we also have good chemistry and like have fun talking to each other. So like, is it cool to text during the day? He also invited me to get dinner a couple of times this week, and I've pushed it off because I'm not sure if it's stupid to like blur the line between friends with benefits and emotional things. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Again, I'm definitely not interested in a relationship. He made it clear he's not, but I do miss flirting and, having somebody to hang out with. So let me know your thoughts. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm going to let you know right now. He doesn't want his brother-in-law to know.
That's weird when the trainer already knew.
Something has shifted. Something has changed
Yes.
within me. Someone might not be fully divorced.
You're not going to like the advice that we're going to give.
No.
Because we're not going to give you the advice you asked for.
No.
So you might want to go ask a friend.
Yeah, because you don't want friends with benefits. You want a relationship. Like the things that you're talking about, like, oh, like the chemistry, we talk, like we get along really well. Like we've got great conversations. Like I miss the texting. I miss like the flirting, like having someone to talk to. That's a relationship. You might think that like you're saying, and this truly happens so fucking often, specifically with women, where it's like, well, men will say, oh, I don't want a relationship. And it's like, that's a past, present, and future statement with whatever we're doing here. With women, it's like, well, yeah, I don't know you. I don't want to be your girlfriend right now. And it's like, well, that's not actually what that means. That's like, no matter how amazing and no matter how cool and no matter how great you are, people always talk about how men will end up marrying. It's whoever who he's with when he's ready to get married. It's a personal decision and choice. But someone who's not interested in a relationship is not interested in a relationship. And he's not interested in a relationship. He just wants to be friends with benefits and hooking up. People, you're not friends with him. You don't really know him. So you're not friends with benefits. Friends with benefits, I've mentioned this. I was friends with benefits with a guy in high school. It got to be a little more. We weren't on the same page. Didn't work out. Whatever, is fine. But we were friends. Like we were legitimately friends. We'd spent like 4+ years in school together, had known him even before that. And we would hang out at parties, then we would hook up and we're in groups of people. But like we went out, I think went to one of the movies one time, and that was as an apology for whatever. Long story. It's in my book. But we didn't really like text and flirt. It's kind of just like at the end of the night, like after we're all hanging out with a group of people, we're the two people who are like, oh, cool, let's go hook up. Or it's a late night thing and he's texting me and says like, hey, you want to come over? And I'm like, sure. Like, but it's our friendship interactions aren't dates. We're not going to dinner. We're not flirting and we're not texting. And it can't take up the same capacity that a relationship would. And if you have someone to flirt with and someone to text and all of that, like that is your brain, no matter what you say, will categorize it and then being like, oh, box checked off. So you're not going to look for it anywhere else because you're getting it. Like you're getting it from someone who isn't intentionally giving that to you with the meaning that it's going to mean more than that. So like, I also have a lot of questions about like, where's his kid? He's divorced and has a kid. What's that relationship like? Like, how are you asking me to for dinner all these nights? Like, are you in your kid's life? Like, what is this? Like, you know, you don't want to tell your brother-in-law what side is he related to? Is he his ex-wife's brother? Or is he another from the other side of it? Like, what is all of that? Because how you treat your child and how you are as a parent, regardless if I want to have a relationship with you, but if I want to sleep with you, like, how do you care for the people who you love? And what's your priority in here? And like, you know, I would like to know that. And also because how fresh is this breakup? How young is this kid? Am I going to go over to his place and hook up with him? So he can hook up with me? Am I going to be sexting him when he's taking his kid to the zoo? Do I feel comfortable with that? Like divorced parents, single parents, like yes, 100%, 1,000% be sexual. But I don't think you can just kind of, in those circumstances, throw caution to the wind and be like, I'm not going to ask any questions to figure that out because there's a child involved. Even if you're not involved, you're involved with someone who has a child. By proxy, there's a child involved. So I'm not going to just say, fucking get your clit licked, go have fun, get sex around, enjoy whatever you want to do. Like, I think that there's a sense of responsibility that should come there. And I think sometimes when we don't dig into that responsibility, it's because we know we're going to see a man who is a pretty shitty father, and that's Nick.
I agree with everything Megan said, but for me, it would have ended much earlier than this.
At the gym.
If some 40-something-year-old man is leering at checking out a 20-year-old woman in the gym, I find that utterly disgusting, and that's where I would have left it. And your advice was better. I'm going to say I'm giving bad advice because I'm not actually giving advice, but that shouldn't have gone past. He's too old. He's too old for you.
Yeah. And very rarely do women look older than they are. And
especially at the gym. Nobody's going to the gym with a full, I mean, some people do go with a full face of makeup.
Like you know, you're vulnerable. And I think it's one thing. I don't like when men come up and hit on you in the gym, but there's one thing there of being like, oh, you're telling me exactly who you are. But now there's this new brand of guy who it's like, oh, I'm going to ask somebody to ask about this, but I'm going to still look at you from across the gym, but like make it clear, but I'm not going to say anything. So it's like, I'm not like those other. I'm like, but you are. You're just trying to like orchestrate the situation a little bit differently. And again, when somebody doesn't want to tell people, it's not sexy that it's a secret. It's a secret because he needs it to be a secret. Because why? Maybe he's fucked every single other person at the gym. Maybe he's truly a piece of shit. Maybe he thinks and knows that if other people knew this would be going on, you wouldn't want to sleep with him anymore because someone would tell you some information that would change your mind.
Yeah. So there's that. I have nothing more to add.
And I say this out of love when you can acknowledge that you just got out 8 months ago of a 7-year toxic relationship. I would look at the situation and go, I think hooking up with a guy who wants to keep it he wants to keep friends with benefit a secret. Why do you have to keep friends with benefit a secret? There's no strings attached. Doesn't mean anything. If you need to keep that a secret, that's because you have something more serious with somebody else where your friends with benefits would compromise that relationship.
Yep.
Like, no one needs to keep friends with benefits a secret because there's no commitment. It doesn't mean anything. It's just whatever. If you can look at that, you got out of a toxic relationship and now you are starting to hook up with a guy who is 42 years old, divorced with a child who wants to keep it a secret, who had a passive setup from your trainer who he doesn't even want him to know the truth, that I would look at that in comparison to your last relationship and go, okay, what are the similarities that I'm seeing here? Because what I'm hearing as a third party, I don't even know why your last relationship is toxic, but you're telling me it's a 42-year-old guy who doesn't want people to know that you guys are hooking up.
Yeah.
And that, I don't think it's about you. It's about whatever other shit he's got going on that he doesn't want you to blow up. But psychologically, that will fuck with you. You should want someone who is proud to be with you, who is happy to, like, it's not sexy to keep it a secret. And it's not like you work together. This isn't school. Like, this is a gym. Like, you're adults here. This is just, there's so many other less messy ways. And I think that this really has the power to do a number on you psychologically, because I can't stress enough, a man needing to keep you a secret will always wear on your own self-esteem.
Yeah.
And we're both telling you right now, this is like a crusty 42-year-old man. It's about him and the other shit he has going on. It has nothing to do with you. But I think if you continue this, there's no way it's not going to take a toll on you personally. So moral of the story, we don't think you should like text him during the day.
No, except for say bye and maybe go to a new gym.
Tell your trainer that it's supremely inappropriate to set you up with people
that he's related to and also works out at the gym.
And he's also being paid to work with you and then set you up is also incredibly inappropriate.
Yep. All right. So we're going to take a break.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
All right, we're back.
Hey, with one less listener.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. So I'm 23, and this call is actually about my mom. So I have a son, he's 2, and my boyfriend's parents are really helpful when it comes to my son. They watched him a lot when I went back to work, and they watch him every weekend because I don't have a babysitter for the weekend. And my mom always asks me about my son coming over, and he rarely comes over. He only comes over maybe about once a month, if that. And every time he comes over, I feel like she makes plans or she doesn't make it a priority to be with him the whole time. And so I'm a little bit frustrated right now because I'm about to go pick him up. And she said that she's at a dinner right now and that my stepdad's home with him, which, like, my stepdad being home with him isn't the issue. The issue is that she's the one that specifically asked to have him over because she hasn't had him over in a while, and that she doesn't make it a priority to stay with him the whole entire day until I pick him up. And even on days she does watch him, she asks me multiple times when I'm coming to get him. And it's just really frustrating to me. And I just want to cut her out of my life altogether because I feel at this point she just wants to be a social media grandmother and not an actual grandmother. We've never had a good relationship. It's always been pretty rocky. And so it's been hard for me to be okay with her watching my son. If you have any advice with that, please let me know because I'm kind of stuck on what to do.
Got her off. Got her off. Got her off.
I would just be like, hey, mother, if you're going to commit to watching my son, your grandson, then please commit to that because me as a mother, I like to know where my son is and who he's with at all times. Please don't put him in the hands of someone else without telling me. And then if you actually want to watch him, why are you constantly asking me when I'm coming back? If you're going to watch him, watch him. If not, then that's it. You've already proven yourself. You need to have a firm conversation with her about what your expectations are and what her expectations are. And if the expectations don't line up, then she's not the babysitter for you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think, and I am definitely coming from a more biased perspective, but I think that, yes, there are some occasions where a parent who was not a great or present parent is a really great grandparent. But I think very often we try and recreate what we didn't get as a kid. And we try and think that, okay, here's another chance. And the level of disappointment can be even greater there because it's not just that she's disappointing you by not living up to your expectations of like her being a grandma, but also as a mom. And so like it's really layered there. And you've said like you've always had a rocky relationship. You haven't gotten along and like you just kind of want to cut her off. And I think like it might feel like when she asks that she wants to see her son and stuff, that it feels like wow, she like really, she wants to mend this and she wants to try this. But from what you've said, that it does seem like she wants to be kind of more of a social media grandma. And it's like, oh, you actually haven't put in the work to like think about our relationship and mending our relationship and doing better and being a better and present, consistent figure for my son. And it's not that. And so why am I putting myself and him through this when, like, if you need a babysitter, like, I think that's very different than when someone asks to babysit and it's like, okay, I could have watched my kid now. Like, I can always do something when someone else is watching my kid, but like the level of like attention and time and quality of time and what we're doing, if you're asking to hang out with my kid when it could have been me, like I will, like, I'm hoping that it's going to be relatively similar in that. But if you're going to be passive about this, it's like, well, I would have watched it. We would have had a whole day planned, like done all of this stuff. And I think that like the next time that she asks, I would just tell her and I would just be like, hey, honestly, like I really have, every time you say that you miss him and you want to see him, like I've been really excited, but every time it does kind of feel a little performative in the sense that like suddenly you've got dinner plans and you've got all of that. And I totally understand you have your own life, but you're the one who asked to like hang out with him. So I'm not cool at this point with him being a second or third priority when you have told me that he is your first priority. So you'll still see him when, if you want to come over, like on your own terms where you're there, because I also can't, it seems like you've got, like you've said, you've got really great in-laws. So I'm thinking when your kid is with your in-laws, you can check out as much as a parent possibly can. But when he's with your mom, it probably like, was she still with him? Is she like, whatever's doing that? Like, that's not much of a mental, that's a physical break from childcare, but not a mental break from childcare there. So I would just say like, unless something I can see that there's like a change. And I think honestly, that change has to be in your relationship with her and her wanting to like work on that relationship. Then it's just like, you'll see the kid, it'll be on our terms of like, you can come visit here or we'll go visit you together. But it doesn't seem like you're comfortable with the level of care and attention that he's getting there. Mm-hmm. And even if that's mostly projected from your own childhood, that's fine. Like, it's really fine. I think even if he's not feeling a little bit like second priority in her eyes, you're feeling that, and then he'll feel that from you, even if he's not feeling it from grandma. So like, you need to protect your peace, and that will protect the peace for everybody around. And I've always said, like, if you have the desire to cut someone off, or you have the desire to like really scale back and create like hard boundaries, and you've given them those opportunities, no one does that on the first time. Like, that's something that's built up over time. And I think creating those like strong boundaries of like, this is what the parameters of this can work in. And if she doesn't like that, I would unpack and pay attention to why she doesn't like that.
I'd say tough titties, said the kitty.
I'm the new mom in town, bitch. Yeah, this would drive me absolutely crazy. I'm obviously not a grandma, but I've spent a lot of, my youngest nephew on Mon's that side. That's the one that I have the most like, was there when he's a baby and he's getting older and all that stuff. So I've spent a lot of time with two sets of, his grandparents and like seen all of that. So like, I can see that relationship. And like, even when we watch him, we're like so excited and like, we've got things, we like planning all of that. And you can tell, like, even if like I missed something he said the first time, or if I was like grabbing water, I can see it if like I don't respond so quickly. And then I'll be like, oh, sorry, what did I like miss it? Could you tell me again? He like lights up and then he tells me what I missed. And I've been that kid as well. And your kid's really young, but I think there's no better feeling and better way to raise a kid than with people who are enthusiastic participants, especially ones who are asking to be there. Like, as a parent, you're going to have off days, but that's literally the grandparents. You get to be the fun in this situation when you're not the primary caregiver. Like, that's my role as an aunt. Like, that'll eventually be my role as like a pseudo aunt to like friends' kids, or a grandparent. Like, it's to make the parent's job easier and to just like love the kid in a way that that kid can receive it, which is quality time.
Right.
This would piss me the fuck off. Don't speed, though. Not that you're in the car still. Maybe you're in the car when you're listening, but that'd be my worry if I called in.
Yeah, me too. I can't do both.
Mm.
All right, next one.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. So I'm 23 and my pronouns are she, her. I graduated college with a science-related degree this past June. I've been applying to jobs since August and I have yet to get any offers. I've been living at home with my family in my small hometown since graduating and I'm feeling very stuck here. I was working up until December just in my hometown, random jobs, but that ended. So since then, I've just been applying to jobs and getting rejected from jobs, which has been great. I have had a career advisor from my school look at my resume and all that, so I know that there's no big issues with that. I just don't have any experience in my field, partly due to being home for COVID for 2 years of my college experience, when ideally I would have been able to intern or volunteer. I'm really struggling being home with nothing to do, and I feel like I can't grow anymore here. I really feel like I need to move and start my career, but it's been hard because no one is giving me a chance. I would like to just move and get a random job until something in my field comes up, but I have a few different options of cities that I might move to. So I'm afraid that if I pick one, get a job there, then a job in a different city will come up that I really want, and I would have to break a lease. I also know that I should just get a job in my hometown, but I'm afraid that if I start working here again, it'll give me an excuse to not leave. I'm really scared to move out and actually begin my adult life, but I know that it's what I need to do. I'd love any advice on navigating this time in my life, or what you think I should do. Do I move anyway and hope a job follows, stay here and wait for the right job, or any other ideas? Thank you both. Bye.
Well, I don't know what field you're working in or want to work in. That would have been helpful.
Science related.
Yeah, science related, but that's so
Can't that be
broad.
like anything?
That can be anything.
Yeah, because I was like biology and then also like physics.
Yeah.
Like those are very different fields.
But what I would do, my first thing was like, make sure that, a professional has looked at your resume. I wonder, I know a career counselor at your school looked at it, but in the last 5-ish years, a lot of things with resumes has changed. And so I don't know if sometimes people that work in academia don't necessarily know how things have changed in the quote unquote real world.
Yeah, the practical sense.
Yes. And so I would have somebody that works in the field, or find someone on LinkedIn that works in the field, and see if there are resume professionals that work in the field, and see, it could be a recruiter or someone, and ask them to look at it. And then I don't think moving to a big city and hoping that something opens up is the answer. What I think you should do is, I know you weren't able to intern while you were in school, but you can still intern out of school. Some places won't do it because
they don't want to pay you.
They don't want to pay you. But some places don't even think about having interns. And so if you send them an email and be like, hey, write a great cover letter that talks about your strengths, talks about what your future plans are, talks about how you weren't able to intern while you were in school because of the pandemic. Explain all that. A lot of companies don't know what they need until someone has pointed it out to you. So I would send specific things to specific companies, like, hey, whatever, Merck. I'm just using some pharmaceutical company. Hey, Merck, I saw recently in the news that blah, blah, blah happened. This is awesome. And that relates to me in this way. And then go in there, introduce who you are, explain why you would be a good fit for their company, why you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be a company that you want to work for in the long term. It's just who's there now that you can reach out to. Craft the letter in a way that they're like, I have to meet this person. Find recruiters on LinkedIn, find recruiters online. And once you start making those connections, a recruiter will put your resume in front of a company, even if the job has not been posted yet. Mm-hmm. So that's how I would go about it.
Yeah, I think the best way to to kind of make up for, and also just know that like, this isn't just a you thing. Like lots of people are dealing with this everywhere, is that the hands-on field experience. And a lot of these fields are going to have to change their requirements because
the people don't exist.
No, those people don't exist. And also what they want to pay those people, the people who have the experience, are not fresh college grads, and they're not going to take that money. But the thing I would recommend is find a small pond and be the big fish there. And that's in terms of whether it's an internship or volunteering and taking on as much as you can. Like when you're a volunteer who's not, if you can treat a volunteer job like it's your job, you're going to be able to gain so much more experience than someone who's just volunteering on a weekend. You're going to be able to like know how the fucking thing runs. You're going to be able to implement things, or even just make a lot of contacts and be a face, a regular face that people start recognizing and seeing. And again, like Melissa, it doesn't have to be in the exact company you want to work for, but that will also, you can then get reference letters from business professionals who, it should be in the science field, whatever field that you want to get into. But even if it's not like that closely related, then your references are no longer just college professors. It's people who've seen you work again in the practical, in the real world. And also for a volunteer job where you didn't even get paid to do that kind of thing. So like you have an opportunity to do that. And you got to make the connections and put in those hours. And it's not a straight path. You might need to take a step to the right and then, okay, this is somewhat like it and this is somewhat similar. And I would also just like stress, depending on where you're applying and like what specific field you're in. I knew so many people who like fresh out of college, their first job, they were at for 3 weeks and then they quit once they got a better one. Like it's pretty par for the course. And if you're not having a lot of success with your resume and the jobs that you're applying to, I would like also do some digging on LinkedIn and be like, how old are the people who are working here? Like the person who has the most similar job title to this at this company or who had it before, what's their experience level? And like, am I applying for jobs that like, does it look like they value the college you went to more? Or does it look like they value do they value your internships more here?
Also, look at alumni from your school that work in the field. People love when you went to the same school with them. I don't know if you're part of your alumni group at your school. A lot of people that are young alumni don't do this, but join the alumni society or alumni group or association, whatever it's called, and find people that work in that field. Look on LinkedIn and see what people from your school work in the field. People are always happy to help other people, but they need some type of connection to you.
Yeah, and it's all like, I ask if you can take them for coffee. It's not that expensive to do that. And then also a lot of times,
or meet virtually if they're not in the same place that you are.
When other people get to reference you for a job, they can get a check for that. So there's an incentive for them to like really advocate for you, but also they're not going to advocate in bad faith because that would then look bad on them. So like people really like, Mott spends so much fucking time with people who are like, hey, can I pick, like, can we get a coffee and like pick your brain about this? Can we talk about that? Like whatever it is, because he's had different career paths and had a unique way of going about it. And he always goes. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, do you need, and like, but he's like, no, it's like, I've been that person. Like we all have to do that. And like, I'm paying it back. The amount of people who sat with me, like I'm in my early 20s asking all these questions, even later in my 20s, like I'm going to pay that back to those people. Like I'm going to do it again. And so it's utilizing the connections because I think the job market we've seen, and again, the job market in field specific, it's hard, especially when you're potentially going to a city where you don't know as many people. You will be up against people who have the same resume as you, all the same experience, but they know someone at the company who can vouch for them. Yeah. And so I think that like, I wouldn't focus so hard on like, how can I make my resume better? How can I do all of this? It's like, how can I get myself into this space, even if it's not the small space? How can I get myself into the bigger space of this, get my face to be familiar, my name to be familiar, and how can I build contacts that I feel comfortable being a reference for, or who you also trust if they're like, hey, I found a job I think you'll like, that you should know them and trust them enough that you go, you're not going to steer me wrong here. Where it's not it's a symbiotic kind of relationship. So I would take the time to build this relationship. That's also mostly what internships are. Yeah. It's less about I mean, apprenticeships, I would say, are more about like the physical experience and the work that you're doing. Internships are about managing a workday and managing working with other people and then building connections.
Yeah. And I'll give a specific example of something that I actually did last year. I want to, continue working in the entertainment field, but in a different sector.
Are you going to tell the...
No, I'm not going to tell what it is because this is still actively happening.
Just know that when she told me she was going to do this, I was like...
I'm not going to do that specific thing anymore because I haven't.
I don't think they would.
But they would, but they're not doing the program this year.
Okay.
So I messaged a bunch of people on LinkedIn that worked in this specific field. The one person that got back to me first is somebody that's retired, but I knew that they were big time and worked in the field. They were retired. They sat with me for like an hour and a half. She thought it was just going to be a 30-minute thing, but I'm me. So she was loving talking to me.
She was loving what I was serving.
Yeah. And so she gave me some great advice. And then she introduced me to somebody that actively works at the place that I want to work. That person is lower level, but you move up in the field.
Lower level works
yes.
hard.
And so I talked to her. She told me the thing that I wanted. She's like, you're way too experienced for this.
That's what I said.
Do you want to do this?
I
know. She's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yes. And she's like, are you sure? I said, yes. And so she's like, okay, next time this comes back around, I will, reach out to me. But then she reached out to me in November and said that they weren't going to be doing that specific program anymore. But she also introduced me to somebody else that's higher up on the ranks. That person, another great person, absolutely loved me. We were chatting. Since we have talked, she has moved up 2 spots. And now she's like, we need to meet. And so we're going to be meeting soon. And so like, you just talk to people.
Haven't you done that through Twitter too?
Yeah. On
That's
Twitter,
what I was gonna say,
I've reached out to people that I admire and I've been like, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z, or can you send me a script? And, I'll find out little things about them that connect me that I specifically like searched out there's something that I wanted. And so I went and I looked at the show and looked at the people that worked on it and tried to find something connecting. I found something that connected me to one of the writers. And so then I messaged him on Twitter and asked him like something. He's like, I'm not supposed to do this, but because you and my wife are this, then I will do this for you. So then he sent me scripts to a TV show that he worked on. Like people don't send active things that are in production.
You're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to, but he did. And he sent it from like some fake email address.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got the workaround.
Yeah. And so like, and I've done that for I've done that 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is not something that ends. This is when things begin right now. Like you have to get that skill. Networking is essential for moving up in careers.
Yeah, but I would really utilize Twitter too, like not just LinkedIn and like following people on Instagram, maybe creating a professional profile if you don't want to have like your personal profile, but like, becoming, if there are some people in the field that they have jobs that you really like, that you really look up to, even just engaging with those people on social media and then having them, you become a familiar face in their mentions to them and then asking a question that's related to the field. Then eventually, you're able to build those relationships. And like, I see it a lot on like doctor Twitter. Like there's like lots of like medical students and all of these different, like people want to, everyone knows that the come up is hard. We all want to make the come up easier, but I need to know that you're coming up.
Yeah.
Like I need to know you and that's on you to make yourself known.
Yeah.
And
I have a friend that became active on teacher Twitter and they got a job from that.
Yeah. So like, that's something that like finding other forms of social media where you're becoming involved in the community and not just in the applying for jobs, because people don't check their LinkedIn all the time and every day, but for a lot of professions,
people on professional stuff.
Well, I was going to say, but like in terms of like people who have social accounts that are engaging a professional community.
They want to talk.
They want to talk and they want to engage with you a little bit differently. Also engage with you in a public space. And you can learn a lot from that because they're doing that with other people. You can read their replies to other tweets. Like it's a little more, LinkedIn has public features, but there's so many professional communities on even TikTok. Like there's professional communities there and you're able to kind of like crowdsource information and then have the opportunity of someone who wants to be a public figure in their field, helping other people, which then by proxy can help you and get your foot in the door with that community and just experience and knowledge with that. Yeah. So I think it's a really hard time. And I obviously can't specifically relate to this, but I just know from like friends and just being a person online that this is a really common thing a lot of young people are going through. And I know it can be really hard to compare yourself to other people in milestones, regardless of age, but specifically when it feels like graduation was a milestone you all achieved. And then it's like, oh, well, now we're not checking off all the same milestones at the same time after we did this. It can be a bit of a mind fuck. So I would just also maybe spend some time on like spaces of living at home and haven't found a new job yet, like Twitter or TikTok, and find a subreddit like that, find a community of other people who are putting in the same work that you are and acknowledging that it's hard. But it's a grind, which I hate that term, but people want to help out other people. Yeah. You know, when someone asks me I'm flattered.
I had somebody reach out to me that went to my high school, and I don't have my high school listed anywhere, but my name is on the wall there. And
on the bathroom wall.
No, it is on.
What is that supposed to mean?
My name is literally. Oh, you're talking about
the bathroom wall.
Oh, people used to like leave phone numbers on bathrooms
for a good time call.
That kind of thing. I'm on there because the football team was the Arkansas champions at one point, and since I was a cheerleader, I was considered part of the team. So our names are on the wall. Family. But she reached out to me, and I think she sent me a message on Instagram and asked if we could. She lives here in LA. She's in school here, and she just wanted like career advice from somebody that is from the same place that she is. And we talked, and it was a really good chat. I personally hate networking, but it's necessary and it has a lot of benefits to it. And I don't think I would be where I am now if I wasn't networking. And it doesn't have to feel like networking if you can find people that you're genuinely a fan of. Yeah. That feels like it. But don't come off as a fan, girl. No. But like that you're excited for the answers and everything, and it doesn't feel like pulling teeth on both ends where it kind of feels like an awkward. Some networking feels like a blind date setup that you're like, am I even here? This isn't beneficial for anyone. So, but best of luck. You've got this, and don't move to a city and hope that you get a job there. No, it's just too expensive. You have the financial means. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're loaded, then do it, because then that opens up your networking opportunities. If you have the financial means to do it, do it. Yeah, but if you don't, you're going to have to breaking elite, all of that shit. Like, if you can hire movers. Yeah. And what if you get to that city and then get set, even if you don't get settled, you move to that city and then you get without a job and then you get a job in a different city. Yeah, then you got to move. Lease. Yeah. So if you're loaded. If you got money, do it. Yeah. But if not. The rules are different if you've got. Unfortunately. Yep. Okay, we're going to take another break.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
And we're back.
It's time for Don't Blame Them.
That might be the first time that you didn't say it with a questioning remark to me.
Well, that's because you gave me a heads up. You said, we'll be back. And then you said it again because I said something else. And so then it was like a false start, but it was good for the ADHD brain. It was like, oh, we can catch up now. Whee! So now this is where you all call it, not all of you, but listeners will call in with their own advice pertaining to a call that we aired on a previous episode. So maybe they have personal experience. They've gone through the same thing that the original caller went through, or they had a friend who went through it, a sibling, they experienced it by proxy, or they're a professional in the field, or they just have some of their own insights and love the sound of their own voice.
Hi, I'm just calling in regards to the recent episode, Messy Friends. About the second call, the caller turning 21 but not wanting to drink. So I totally agree with what Meghan and Melisa said. Just normalize lying, I think, is more my vibe. You could either just say, like, I'm a really sad drunk, or I'm an angry drunk if your family's, like, wanting you to drink, because then you're like, I'm just not a good time when I'm drunk. And I think that might be more, like, tolerable for them just because they want you to get drunk and have a good time with them. Going out with friends, though, if you offer to, like, DD, or even if you're just at a party and they're like, oh, do you want a drink? And you're like, I'm a DD. 99.9% of the time, everyone's like, oh, okay, respect. Like, whatever. I want everyone to get home safe. So I think saying that you're a DD is a good one. But, yeah, I just wanted to give, like, a couple more options because I've been in those situations before too, and first of all, it's nobody's business if you want to drink or not. Sometimes you just gotta lie. Thanks. Bye.
Normalize lying.
No.
Normalize lying. Wait, I just have to say
I think the DD one is a good one because even if you're not you still are usually responsible for people that are drunk.
Just carry around some like Fisher Price fake keys.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one, but
no, this bitch with her saying, I say bitch in an endearing term. Say that you're a sad drunk. When I tell you, pussy's never been drier. I do not want to hang out with if you tell me like, oh, I'm a sad drunk, I'm like, I need to keep you away from the mouthwash. Like there's we've all been friends with someone who like cries every time they're drunk. Nobody wants that vibe. I don't want anyone who push you, like, just try. I want to watch you cry. I love your energy, mostly because you agree with me.
Womp womp.
Yeah, normalize lying.
All right, well, that's it for today's episode.
We hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a review on the podcast app. Tell us how absolutely bodacious we are. And make it sound believable when you say that for me, okay? Also, again, join us on Patreon. We have a great time. And we have lots of other episodes coming out this week. We have our See You Next Tuesday tomorrow, which we have so much. It might be our longest one.
It definitely is.
Because we talked a lot. And we also have But Am I Wrong coming out on Thursday, and then Fisting Friday on Friday. So please call in for next week's episode of Don't Blame Me. Leave your voicemails, send your voice memos, and hit us up on social media. Like, tell us we're pretty, give us money, or just follow us. Leave a comment on our last post. And anything else?
I think that's it, Megan.
Yeah, okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Over and out.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence. Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast, and with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go Network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.